Hey guys, it's Brian here. Welcome to my channel. So, to be perfectly honest, I have no idea what I'm doing. I just decided spur of the moment that I wanted to start a Authortube, WriterTube, whatever. The biggest reason is because I just released my 5th novel, and the hardest part, if you're an author, especially a indie author, about releasing a book is getting it in front of new eyes, in front of new people, and right now I'm kind of in that mode of trying to put myself out there in any and every medium that I can. So a little bit about me. I am I'm just watching the mailman pull into the driveway. Anyway, I am 26 years old and my name is Brian McBride. I have published 5 novels, and I kind of specialize in writing really character-driven stories. If you've ever read them, you understand. And actually, here they are. So my first novel, Love in the Sea, I published back in 2018 after posting it to Wattpad, and it earned all of these awards on Wattpad with 500,000 reads on it. I don't really post on Wattpad anymore. I have samples of some of my more recent books on it, but Love in the Sea I wrote actually after a really difficult time in my life. It was kind of that book that I wrote to sort of process some stuff that I was going through. So it's a very raw read, and my hope is to kind of go back and maybe edit it up, polish it up, and release a second edition. I don't talk about this story a lot anymore. If you follow me on Instagram, I don't talk about it a ton anymore. Not because I'm ashamed of it or I think it's bad, but because it's not really where I'm at anymore. As a writer, you other writers out there probably understand that you kind of focus on where you're at, and stories tend to come from seasons and moments in our lives, and those change. And so I really love this story, and I love the main characters, Adam and Liz, and what they meant for me at that time of my life. And if you are looking for a story with a kind of a whirlwind romance that tackles issues like mental illness and stuff like that, then this could be a good read for you. Trigger warning, it does deal with some serious topics, self-harm, suicidal ideation, all that stuff, so proceed with caution. The second book I released shortly after that. So that one was released in 2018, and then Every Bright and Broken Thing came out, I want to say spring of 2018. So my first 3 books I actually published all in the span of 12 months. So this one would have been a few months later. I actually wrote this full novel for NaNoWriMo 2018, edited it, and then published it by, I feel like it was June 2019. Every Bright and Broken Thing is another one of those really difficult stories, and that's kind of where I got my start, writing those really character-driven stories that really tackle serious issues. And even though I've kind of deviated from the straight contemporary genre just a little bit, and I'll get to that in a second, I still want to bring that same rawness and tackle those same issues, because those have been important in my life. Reading stories that deal with those issues, watching shows and movies that deal with those issues, it's been important for me being able to see that on the screen or read that on the page, and so I want to be able to offer that. And also it's where our world is at right now. There's a lot going on in our world, and my intention is to write very realistic stories, and no fictional character struggles with nothing, so it wouldn't make any sense to write stories where they don't struggle, have these internal struggles going on. So that's kind of my thing as a writer. I write those stories where characters, there's a lot of outward stuff going on, but really it's about what the characters are dealing with inside their hearts, inside their minds, and you'll find that in each of my stories, even moving forward, because that's such a big part of my life and my story. So Every Bright and Broken Thing follows brothers Ezra and Liam, who've kind of been separated after the death of their mother. So it deals a lot with grief. Ezra finds himself homeless. Liam finds himself struggling with a trauma that occurred in this kind of in-between season. And so this is also another really heavy book. It ends on a very hopeful note. I do want to throw that in there, but it does deal with a lot of heavy issues like sexual assault, trauma, healing, that kind of stuff. So trigger warning for this one as well. And then my third novel, Sons of Slaughter, this is actually the second edition. Last year I released the second edition of this book with a couple of bonus chapters that were not in the first book, or the first edition. And Sons of Slaughter it's a ride. It's probably my first venture into kind of a more dominant genre. You know, my previous two books are just straight contemporaries. You know, it deals with a lot of, it's very character driven. It's not plot driven, it's character driven. I think Sons of Slaughter kind of, you see me venturing into that realm of character-driven and plot-driven, blending it together, which is something that I've honed even beyond this story. But Sons of Slaughter is an absolute wild ride. It deals too with those character issues. It tackles the subject of schizophrenia, and it would be good. The kind of tone of the story would be good for fans of maybe Challenger Deep by Neil Shusterman, or Looking for Alaska by John Green. But this is a really good story. Very, very Pacific Northwest aesthetic, you know, storms, fir trees, that kind of stuff. But I definitely recommend this one. It's a little bit bloodier. You know, there's gang violence in it, domestic violence in it, so trigger warning for that. But I really love this story. And it actually, fun fact about it, I wrote this story to take place in my hometown of Clatskanie, Oregon. So this story is very, very special to me. It includes pictures that I took myself of my hometown in a couple of my last visits to family up there. So definitely get the second edition if you want the full story and those photos in the story. My fourth novel published is We the Wild Things. This was kind of born, you know, I don't really know I can't remember what it was that initially gave me this story idea, but it was kind of born out of this venture in my mind into some more plot-driven stories. I don't even know like where my mind went with this one, but I think I really wanted to dive into that childlike imagination, wonder, and mindset. And We the Wild Things was written as a very loose retelling blend of Peter Pan and Where the Wild Things Are. So We the Wild Things follows foster siblings Peter, Ruth, and Will as they run away from home and venture into the wilderness in search of a whimsical, magical, surreal place called Neverland. And along the way, you know, there's a lot of bonding. Peter's just kind of been thrown into into this new family as a foster kid, and there's this bonding. Each of these kids are dealing with their own struggles, and so this story really dives into their minds. But it's also very surreal. So this one has a lot of different elements that previous stories did not have. There's very surreal elements, and the ending kind of leaves you wondering, okay, was this real? Was this, what happened here? And it leaves it very open to the reader's interpretation in that way, but you definitely see this healing happen in the lives of the characters. Trigger warning for this one as well. Goodness, I need to write a book without a trigger warning. But this one, it does deal with difficult subjects as well. Nothing graphic. None of my stories are graphic. None of my stories have profanity, explicit sex, but they do dive into those deep and heavy topics. So for that one as well. And lastly, my fifth novel that just came out in the last couple weeks, Mammoth. Guys, when I tell you this story is a ride, it's a ride. Mammoth has been a long journey. It was kind of born in last year when did I get that story idea? A lot of different elements really kind of, I pulled on a lot of different elements for the story. I think the initial development of the concept that I had, which is very different. The initial concept I had was literally written in my notes as girl obsessed with dinosaurs something, I don't know. But it's very different. That's not the story at all anymore. But I think the development started after watching Netflix's original TV show Outer Banks, and I saw a big production company put on this raw adventure story. And not only was it just a plain, fun, wild adventure story, it also dealt with those heavy topics that I've been, writing about for years. And I was like, man, if they could do it, if this show could really get off the ground with just a fun, somewhat unbelievable adventure story, then why can't I take what I've honed in my craft and implement that into pretty much the story that I've always wanted to write. I've always had an obsession with dinosaurs, Indiana Jones, The Mummy, some of my favorite movies, Uncharted, all that stuff. That's like my home genre. So writing this story, especially setting it in the Pacific Northwest where I grew up, was a huge deal for me. And Mammoth is it's just an adventure. If you follow me on Instagram at Brian McBride Author, I kind of put some notes from the author, kind of explaining sort of my heart behind the story. Book 1, it is the beginning of a series, and it's going to be kind of different. Mammoth is going to kind of follow a Hardy Boys model, and that's one thing that I've said, is that it's Hardy Boys for the Outer Banks generation. You know, it brings like that mystery and that aesthetic and that kind of almost vintage feel, even though it takes place in 2022. It brings it to the table, and so it's going to be very interesting because I've kind of got in mind a 4-book core series with the possibility for books to take place after that. And I'm currently drafting book 2 right now. I've just hit 20,000 words, and it's going really well. But I've got to say that this book, this series, and look at that bad boy, so thick. It's probably writing this story has become probably, I would say writing this book has been the most organic process that I've ever had when writing a story. Like all these other stories, you know, I wrote them and it was organic, it was natural, but there's the flow of writing Mammoth and the sequel Titan has been probably the most incredible experience for me as a writer, because everything's so vivid. A lot of that is I'm pouring myself into it. I'm pretty much taking everything that I've learned writing all these books, and I've honed my craft over the last few years, and I'm pouring all that into it. I can honestly say that book 2 will have the very best of my writing ever. It's going to be even more evocative than book 1, and I'm so excited. But all of these books, all 5 of these books, you can find on Amazon, on my website, irewolf.com. They're available Kindle, paperback. I don't do hardcover right now. It's a bit expensive to do that, but so that's a little bit about me and about what I write. Well, that's mostly about what I write, but a little more about me is that I am a proud dog dad of a German Shepherd named Arlo, who really gives me a run for my money. He always wants to play ball, always wants to run around. One day he'll settle down, I'm told. I also, back in 2017, decided to build my own tiny house on wheels. So a 320-foot tiny house is my abode. I don't really know why I made that decision. And it was a long road. I actually am just coming on 1 year of having this house complete to be able to live in. There's still some other things that I've been procrastinating doing. But yeah, I think it was just, I was going through a hard time back in 2017. I live in Sonoma County, California, where I have no hope of owning a actual brick and mortar home because everything is outrageously overpriced. But I think that it was kind of that distraction that I needed, and really the only way I'd ever own a home in California should we, continue living here. And by we, I mean my family. I literally live on a field where the rest of my family is in a double wide trailer just like 50 feet away. What else? Oh, so this is my laptop skin. This is actually, right here, these stickers are actually the cast of Mammoth, the 5 main characters, 5 of the 6 point of view characters. And those stickers are available for order right now on my website, irewolf.com. They come with the Jailbird Mega Bundle. If you like found family, if you like adventure, mysteries, intrigue, all that fun stuff, I definitely recommend checking Mammoth out. Paperback, Kindle, Amazon, my website, I don't care. Right now, as I said at the beginning of this video, my biggest goal is just to put this book, all of my books, but primarily this one, in front of as many eyes as possible. One of the things that I've kind of endeavored to do, posting on my campaign through Instagram these last couple months, has been to make Mammoth a bestseller, to prove to the world that a self-made indie author can actually succeed at becoming a bestseller. I mean, I know some have, and I'm sure I'm probably not the first person who would have proved it, but it's definitely something that I aspire to. For me, being a full-time writer would be a dream come true. Not there yet. I hope to be there, which is why I'm here. So I don't know that I have a ton left to say on this video. This is kind of just my initial launch video and rambling. I suspect this channel is going to be a lot of rambling, and I apologize in advance. let me know what you'd like to see from me in the comments. Since I don't know what I'm doing, as many tips as you can throw my way. Let me know what kind of content you want to see. I'm just right now poring over a lot of other Authortubers and their videos and vlogs to kind of see what I can share. I'd like to share a lot of videos with a lot of my processes and things that I've developed and honed over the years. Maybe some unpopular opinions, that kind of stuff. But maybe I'll wait on the unpopular opinions. I don't want to make enemies yet. Anyway, definitely if you enjoyed this video, like, share, follow, subscribe, whatever you do on YouTube. I'm still figuring this thing out. But definitely hang around for more. I hope to release a video maybe monthly. We'll see. It's loose right now, but I'll do my best. But thanks for watching.